to music, the law, and more. Real topics with real people that will make you think. That's Thursday night at 11 p.m. on the Tan Talk Radio Network. You're never alone with me.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Tampa Home Talk with your host, native Tampa real estate girl, Katrina Madewell, a full-time, passionate, out-of-the-box thinker, love for home ownership kind of realtor with over 21 years of combined mortgage and real estate experience. Tune in every week at this time for expert advice on everything you need to know about home ownership, finance, maintaining great credit, building wealth, and making your everyday life better, and how you can be financially successful today and tomorrow. Remember, love where you live or let Katrina fix it. Now, here's your host of Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us today on Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. As with every week, we have another exciting show lined up for you today. And we have in the studio some amazing guests and some fantastic stuff we're going to talk about. We have Daniel Tarvin. He's with Recycling Rescue. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
And we also have Cesar Rabi with PC Land.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So we thought this is a perfect time to do a show on, because the fast-paced world that we live in now, electronics come and they go and they move. And it's like, like, for example, my watch. My mom last year, it hasn't even been a year. It's been probably like a month or two shy of a year. She bought me the Samsung Gear 2, the smartwatch and the Apple Watch wasn't even out yet. So I'm like, well, this is fantastic. It does all this stuff. It counts my steps. And I'm looking on Amazon. My little daughter's talking about it. And there's literally a watch for, I think, $50 that does everything.
Correct. Absolutely.
And it's like a fraction of the price, of course.
Yeah.
So the speed of technology is insane. So that's why you two are like the perfect pair for today's show. So we're going to talk a little bit with Cesar at PC Land about some of the common things that they see with regards to PCs, some of the frequently asked questions you get, some of the PC owner follies, if you will. And we're going to also talk to Daniel at Recycling Rescue about what to do with those old electronics and what happens. We're going to talk about HIPAA compliance and so much more today. Are you guys excited?
Absolutely.
Very, yeah.
If you have any questions for our guest, our studio call-in lines number are 727-441-3000. Again, this is Tampa Home Talk. We're in studio today with PC Land and Recycling Rescue. 727-441-3000. Again, studio call-in. We're live today. 727-441-3000. So we'll start off with you, Daniel, because I think it's the one that people know the least about for the most part, right? You have these computers, you have electronics, you have other stuff. And essentially, people don't know what to do with that stuff. And before we hop into that part, let's talk about yourself. Let's talk about your background, how long Recycling Rescue's been around, and what got you into it.
Well, Recycling Rescue has been around since January of 2014. And I got into the business because I was working at a computer repair shop, and I noticed that a lot of people were just replacing instead of repairing. And I wanted to go into more end-of-life products and recycle them just to keep the stuff out of the landfills because a lot of the stuff can be reused. And unfortunately, it's very convenient to just toss it in the trash and forget about it. So when I started my business, I wanted to make it as convenient as possible for people to be able to recycle that instead of just ending up in a landfill.
And can you talk about the importance of that? Because I think that's a really important piece. And I think that people don't necessarily intend to throw it in a landfill. Maybe they just don't know what to do it. And then they're listening to our show today and they can connect with you and recycle those old electronics and other things. We'll talk about what some of those things are, but talk about why it's important to recycle it other than, like why do we not want to put it in a landfill?
Well, there are a lot of hazardous items that are in the electronics like beryllium, cadmium, lead, just to name a few. And if they're improperly disposed of, that eventually does leak into the groundwater, and it's really bad for the environment. It's significantly better to be able to reuse them, just to keep the items out of the landfill and to
Well,
be
you hit the
able
nail
to-
on the
yeah.
head when you said when it leaks into the ground and then it gets into our water, ultimately that can be your drinking water that some of these things end up in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely better to reuse than to dispose of. But for some things, they're just so old that people just can't find a use for them anymore. You know, like a Windows 98 computer. Nobody's really going to go on Facebook with that today.
Yeah,
'cause it's just
Cesar,
so
can you
old.
even run any applications with 98?
No, not anymore. Nah.
I mean, before you know it, there's plugins and apps that don't even really, they don't run off each other anymore, which is another whole complex subject
Correct.
we'll talk about in a few minutes. But talk about what happens to the stuff. And before you talk about what happens to the stuff, what kind of stuff do you take? Because it's not just computers.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. We take cell phones, battery backups, the different components like the power supplies. There's even in your radio area here,
Mixers, microphones, all
that
kinds of stuff.
equipment. Oh yeah, definitely. If it has a circuit board in it, we can find a recycling source for that to go to instead of a landfill.
It might be easier to ask you what you don't take, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That implies the only thing that we really don't take are things that are deemed hazardous by the EPA and by the state of Florida, obviously. And the main thing are old TVs. That's the one thing that I get phone calls about almost every day, and we can't do anything with them.
So the old big box brick kind of TVs, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, those have lead in the glass, and therefore we can't really do anything with them. It actually costs me a lot of money to be able to get rid of those. They take up a lot of space, and we offer free services, so we don't charge anybody for anything. So yeah, that's really the only thing we really try to stay away from.
It's kind of like paint. You can't just throw it in the trash can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what other things do you not take besides the old TVs?
Household batteries we try to stay away from. But I mean, pretty much wide open except for that.
So pretty much everything else, like Chris, Cesar, what's some of the junk that you have in your garage? Like I know you'd probably find like old printers and maybe cartridges that haven't yet recycled and all kinds of stuff.
Well, a lot of people will also tend to pretty much recycle toners, which I guess it's part of what you can take to.
Yes,
right.
yeah, we can. Yep. Yeah, we can find either somebody to remanufacture it, or it gets recycled for the raw materials.
So what happens to the stuff? And maybe let's pick 5 things that we use as our example throughout the show.
Well.
So number one thing would be probably old computers, right? Would that be the number one thing you take?
Yes, that's the vast majority is the desktop computers, servers, networking equipment, and cell phones. So let's just say you've got an old desktop tower sitting around that's been collecting dust forever.
And it's antiquated. You can't hook it up. Cesar can't do anything with it.
Yeah, we would come by and pick it up, and after we pick it up, we can tear it down and sort it into the different components. So let's just say you've got a power supply, a circuit board, processor, RAM, stuff like that into the different components. And then those are put into larger boxes. And then from there, those boxes are sold out to wholesalers who then, deal with refineries, and they will perhaps remanufacture them or recycle them down even further for their raw materials.
It's a pretty cool process because I did visit your counterparts over there, Urban E-Recycling. I guess it's been like a year and a half ago now. But it was really neat to watch their whole process and how everything is literally like just broken apart to the finest possible. Well, I guess according to what you're saying, it can be disassembled and dismantled even further. But it was interesting to watch a lot of these components like cords and old hospital equipment and just crazy stuff. Like what kind of crazy stuff do you see?
Well, in terms of crazy stuff, I guess just oddball stuff. I have been over at Greg's place, and he does get some pretty random items.
He's like, we don't even know what this is.
Yeah. I think just random medical equipment would be the most random thing that I've ever picked up.
So you guys might get like a pacemaker or something from someone's uncle that hasn't been around.
I've never gotten a pacemaker, not yet, at least, but I have gotten a lot of weird dental equipment. So you get these weird things that look, they form around your teeth, and I guess that's the
antiquated
thing.
stuff that nobody uses anymore, right?
Yeah.
So, also, I know you said you get this question a lot, which I thought was interesting. people ask you, do you recover gold? Do you recover precious metals in any of these things?
Yeah, we do not do that. We deal with companies that do, but there's a lot of EPA regulations around the acid that's used to extract those metals. So, and we are in full compliance with EPA and, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So we don't process down to that level. We will disassemble and demanufacture, but we won't use like an acid bath treatment to extract the metals.
I see. And I definitely want to, this is probably a little bit longer than we can get into before the next segment, but maybe just touch on it and then we'll wrap up after the break. We were talking earlier, I know, about just the chain of wholesale people that are involved in the dismantling and the demanufacturing. I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
In terms of the cycle of the electronics, we offer a pickup service, and we offer it's a very small scale operation, really. There's me and just a couple other people, and we will pick up the electronics and disassemble them to a certain point, and then from there it goes off to wholesalers and wholesalers and wholesalers beyond that, because you have to have such a large quantity to be able to really make it profitable to when you start shredding them and
right,
using the acid to,
because it might be like 5 cents, right, worth of whatever. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, in studio today with Recycling Rescue, Daniel Tarvin, and also Cesar Rabi with PC Land. We're going to take a real quick break, but we'll be back in a few minutes. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of those HIPAA compliances as well as destruction of the hard drive and what happens. And it's some pretty cool things you'll want to stick around and listen up for. We'll be back in just a minute. Hang tight.
You can't stand to think, and it's already started without you. So find your desperation, 'cause it's time to go.
Hey, Katrina Madewell here. Just wanted to make sure you know how to reach us on our off-air number. If you'd like to connect with myself or any of our guests, you can call us at 813-377 2775. Again, this is Katrina Madewell, host of Tampa Home Talk, and to connect with myself or any guest we have on air, just call or text at 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775.
You've heard this before. Interest rates are at all-time record lows. But if your interest rate is 4% or above, you owe it to yourself to call Silverton Mortgage Specialist. Silverton is a direct lender, and the best part about this is that the entire loan process is handled in-house. From application to close, we do it all in the same building, which means that our loans close fast and our clients know what's going on every step of the way. Our contact info is located on TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show. What makes Silverton different? Products. We offer VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional loans pricing. Best rates with the lowest closing cost. Process everything in-house. It's handled right here and not outsourced to anyone that no one can reach. This way we can avoid surprises. Our people are simply the best, and we know you'll agree. What will closing Silverton Mortgage Specialist mean to you? A smooth process, real home loan value, and personal attention from real professionals. Silverton Mortgage Specialists are here to serve you. Visit TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show for all of our contact details. NMLS 109600 is an equal housing lender and Florida and Georgia residential mortgage licensee.
You're buying a house. Congratulations. So while you're worrying about the paperwork, leave the moving part to us. We're Woody & Sons Moving Company, a Florida licensed and insured mover, and we offer same-day written estimates. Plus, no sneaky mileage, stairs, or additional stop fees. All we ask is that you check out our great ratings on Google and Angie's List, then go to woodyandsons.com to learn more. Whether you need a full-service pack and move or some extra hands, at Woody & Sons Moving Company, we move you.
Curious what your Tampa home is worth? Here's an easy way to find out what homes like yours are selling for in today's market. Text the word value to 813-377-2775 for a free report on Tampa house prices. We'll send you a free report with up-to-the-minute statistics based on all homes for sale sold in your neighborhood over the last 6 months in all price ranges. To get your free report on Tampa Bay house prices, just call or text the word value to 813-377-2775.
Aaron Davis here, owner of Hillsborough Title, serving all of Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
Hey, this is Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you are listening to Tampa Home Talk.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. In studio today, we have Recycling Rescue, Daniel Tarvin, and also Cesar Rabi with PC Land. And if you missed the earlier part of our show, you definitely want to catch it in its entirety. We were talking about what to do with those old electronics and many of the various things that you've had sitting in your garage or around. If you haven't touched it, and, my organizer friends would probably say 12 months, other people are probably a lot more conservative, and it might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's probably time to get rid of it. And you can call my friend Daniel over there at Recycling Rescue. He can take that stuff off your hands. So during the break, which is a fantastic segue into the next part, we were talking about computers, right? That's a very sensitive thing for a lot of people. They don't want to get rid of the computers. Right, Cesar?
Absolutely. Yes.
So what kind of things do you hear? We were talking about, the Windows 3.1, Windows 95. Tell me what you're hearing. People have these laptops and desktops around with these things.
Well, like I was saying during the commercial, most of the time, a lot of people will tend not to let go their electronics, especially laptop or desktops. One of the things that I see, especially, it's like those old Windows, like 95 or even the Windows 3.11, having data on those old computers and people not getting rid of those. So we find
you'll
those
be lucky to get it off if it has a floppy drive, right?
that will be kind of impossible nowadays. But that there's definitely a ways to get to the data. But a lot of people tend not to get rid of those things, or even a 10-year-old laptop or desktop. People will tend to keep it on the inside the garage, or
think, I'll use it. I'll keep it as a backup.
Yeah, or I'm gonna give it to my kids, to my grandkids, and little do they know. Yeah.
They're like, what is this thing?
Exactly. Most of the time, they're like, what is it? Windows XP, and as we know, Windows XP is not being supported by Microsoft. So, and most of the applications that run on that platform are not supported.
Which we talked about that as well during the break. You have different software applications and programs that you have to use or you want to use, and when your operating system doesn't support it anymore, it's time to say goodbye. And we'll talk about how you can build them a brand new Rockstar one in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the breakdown, and we'll continue and segue over with that part of it, Daniel, because that's privacy is really important for a lot of people. And I hear that all the time, even in the transition of real estate. People say, well, I really value my privacy, right? And it might not be that there's anything terrible on there, but to them, they feel like it's very private. They don't want to share it to anyone. They want to make sure that there's no access to that stuff. And with the HIPAA compliance stuff, which people may or may not be familiar with, like medical companies and that type of stuff are required to dispose of things properly. So can we talk about the data destruction? Because there's actually a certification for that, right?
Yes, actually, there's a couple of different ways that we can destroy the data on the hard drives. I have a A-frame.
You can't tell the fun one. You can't tell the fun one until you get back from the break.
Oh, okay.
Talk about the destruction. They're like, how do you actually get it off and make 100% sure that nobody can get to that data?
Well, for wiping, the software-based wiping, I use a program called KillDisk Pro, and that is a HIPAA compliant wiping method. It's NIST 800.22 or -22. And that is a 7-pass wipe, and that's going to remove everything.
7-pass wipe, what does that mean?
Basically, you're going over the disk surface, reading and writing random characters, all zeros, back and forth. just making sure all the little bits and bytes on the hard drive surface, the actual medium that stores the data, that's all going to be wiped clean.
So to use an analogy in non-computer language, that would be like you have a white sheet of paper and a pencil, and you write a whole bunch of letters and words and sentences on there. Then you erase it and you redo that 7 times. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's a HIPAA compliant method.
And so at that point, really, you're probably not going to be able to read anything on the paper, which is kind of the same thought process of the computer, right?
Yes.
So by that point, once you destroy it and you wipe it, you are able to provide someone with a data certificate. Like, where does that go? How do you get it?
Well, the application that I use, the KillDisk Pro, it actually spits out a PDF file once that's completed with the hard disk, the model, the make, the serial number, how it was wiped, how long it took. All that information is on the PDF document, and it also says where it was wiped and by who. So they get all that information.
In this day and age, and we're experiencing a ton of changes, even in the real estate and in the mortgage and in the title world. I mean, they're starting to send even wiring instructions over encrypted because it's crazy. These people will go get a domain name. We had it happen not too long ago. It was on our listing, not our buyer, but the wiring instructions went from the title company to send in their escrow deposit, and literally same domain name. I'll just leave that off, but it had an S on the end where the main domain name did not. And they said, "Oh, our wiring instructions just changed. We need you to resend them here." And it's interesting because the spelling is getting better and better. There's not as many typos as there used to be to catch that kind of stuff. So in this day and age, and after October, we're going to see a lot of changes as well, that the medical industry has already essentially been ramping up and gearing towards for a long time, and our industry has been a little bit behind that because we've been preoccupied with meltdown stuff, if you will. So at that point, you destroy it, all the data, you get the certificate, you provide that with the owner, and then after that, you start dismantling everything on the inside.
Well, if it's wiped and we can then reuse it, we'll try to reuse it if the hard drive is tested good and it doesn't have any bad sectors on it, basically just bad spots. So we try to reuse the items instead of just fully recycling them, because if we do recycle them for the raw materials, we'll often crush them on site before we do that. So it's, we'll either crush or wipe, and we try to wipe them, but if people really want them to be crushed, we can do that on site.
Okay, so go ahead and talk about that. So you were talking about, what's the name of it again? The machine?
Oh, it's a press. It's like a hydraulic press, and it applies 12,000 pounds on 1 circular inch on the hard drive, and it bends it all up into the shape of the letter U.
And you've done this before for communities and some nonprofits with the events. If someone's watching that, what does it look like?
Well, basically, we can do 3 at a time. It takes about 30 seconds to have the hydraulic ram go through the hard drives. But yeah, it bends them and crushes them up. There's actually pictures of it on our website at recyclingrescue.com. There's a before and after photo, and it shows them all 3 hard drives just laying flat, and then once the RAM goes through it, it's up in the shape of the letter U.
We're going to post that on our Facebook page at Tampa Home Talk, and also on our Twitter and Facebook feed at tampahometalk.com. And if you miss any part of our show and you want to catch the whole thing in its entirety, just hop on over to tampahometalk.com under radio. We post all of our shows under a podcast there. And of course, any podcast player for you Android or Mac people, you can pop on over to the iTunes store and just get the podcast there. This is Katrina Madewell. I'm your host of Tampa Home Talk, here today in studio with Daniel Tarvin, Recycling Rescue, and Cesar Rabi of PC Land. We have to take a real quick break, but we'll be back in just a minute to pick up where we left off. Hey, Katrina Madewell here. Just wanted to make sure you know how to reach us on our off-air number. If you'd like to connect with myself or any of our guests, you can call us at 813-377-2222. 2775. Again, this is Katrina Madewell, host of Tampa Home Talk, and to connect with myself or any guest we have on air, just call or text at 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775.
You've heard this before. Interest rates are at all-time record lows. But if your interest rate is 4% or above, you owe it to yourself to call Silverton Mortgage Specialist. Silverton is a direct lender, and the best part about this is that the entire loan process is handled in-house. From application to close, we do it all in the same building, which means that our loans close fast and our clients know what's going on every step of the way. Our contact info is located on TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show. What makes Silverton different? Products. We offer VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional loans pricing. Best rates with the lowest closing cost. Process everything in-house. It's handled right here and not outsourced to anyone that no one can reach. This way we can avoid surprises. Our people are simply the best, and we know you'll agree. What will closing Silverton Mortgage Specialist mean to you? A smooth process, real home loan value, and personal attention from real professionals. Silverton Mortgage Specialists are here to serve you. Visit TampaHometalk.com under Radio Show for all of our contact details. NMLS 109600 is an equal housing lender and Florida and Georgia residential mortgage licensee.
You're buying a house. Congratulations. So while you're worrying about the paperwork, leave the moving part to us. We're Woody & Sons Moving Company, a Florida licensed and insured mover, and we offer same-day written estimates. Plus, no sneaky mileage, stairs, or additional stop fees. All we ask is that you check out our great ratings on Google and Angie's List, then go to woodyandsons.com to learn more. Whether you need a full-service pack and move or some extra hands, at Woody & Sons Moving Company, we move you.
Ask me about an inside secret to save several hundreds of dollars on your annual homeowner's insurance premium. Text the word WIND, W-I-N-D, to 813-377-2775. Again, 813-377-2775.
Hi, this is Aaron Davis, owner of Hillsborough Title. Hillsborough Title is a local family-owned title agency here in Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. We've served Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Call us at 813-712-8888 or visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
This is Michael J. Mayer, #1 international best-selling author of 7L, The 7 Levels of Communication, with the subtitle of Go From Relationships to Referrals. And someone who knows how to go from relationships to referrals is your host for Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell. Listen, tell your friends, spread the word. You need to listen to Tampa Home Talk every Thursday and Saturday at 5 p.m.
I love Michael's intro. Welcome back. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, talking all about those electronics and other gadgets and gazmos and, wait, I used the wrong word, but you know, all the stuff.
Did you say gadget?
Yeah, gadget. Was it gazmo? No.
Gizmos and gadgets?
Yes, that. Thank you.
What's a gadget?
That. Thank you. I can always count on you to fix me if I mess it up. So, Cesar, let's hop on over to you because we've had a working relationship for a long time now.
Absolutely.
And so I want to brag on you for a minute, and then you can talk about yourself and your background and where you're from and how long PC Land has been around and where your locations are and all that jazz. But, you know, my experience, and I don't really know how long I've been a customer, but it's been great. Like I'll say, you know, here's my needs. This is what I'm doing. I pretty much know when my PC is fried and, you know, what to do with it, connecting with somebody like you, Daniel. And so I'm like, okay, here's where the last machine was really lacking and I need this because I do a lot of video, or I'm doing like, you know, video conferencing, which I imagine is getting more and more popular. But before we dive too far ahead, go ahead and introduce yourself and your background and why you do it.
Okay, well, I actually moved from New Jersey to this wonderful city back in 2006. In 2007, after working for a couple of companies, I decided pretty much to go on my own. And I opened a little shop in Llano Lakes on 41. Ever since, pretty much things has been great. The working on corporate for probably about 8-10 years, and then pretty much decided to go on my own. And PC Land opened in 2007, and we got 2 offices, one in Land O'Lakes again, and the other one in Tampa.
So like the Carrollwood, North Tampa area.
Correct, right in the corner of Dale Mabry and Bears.
What plaza are you in?
I'm on the that is the Michaels Plaza.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your background? Have you always done computer stuff pretty much?
I have always done computers.
And what makes you want to do it and still not get bored with it?
Well, it's very exciting. Just talking to people and helping people. I mean, it's one of the things that pretty much drive me every day. Helping everybody. A lot of people will tend to know something about computers, but not a lot. And they usually come to my shop or to my offices, and they just want to learn more. And that's what we are for.
And here's the thing, too. You have somebody like me that I probably could troubleshoot the issue. Would you
Correct.
agree?
Absolutely.
I probably could, but how long is that going to take me to troubleshoot and fix that issue compared to if I drop it off with you or you guys remote in and we just fix it up? It's going to be a fraction of the time.
Absolutely, and that's what we do. So now we have a different type of, we have a division and within PC Land that what we do is we dedicate where we go and we pretty much can remote into your computers, or we can assign a technician to go to your house and troubleshoot it, or you can bring it to any of our offices. Something that could take you probably troubleshoot yourself 4 hours, we can probably do in 45 minutes. So it will save you time and effort, and in the meantime, you can be making more money.
Absolutely. And you look at the whole thing and you think, and then in the frustration, like
Correct.
not even the time, but the frustration that comes with it. Because sometimes I feel like, okay, I really don't want to take you to the shop. I'm just going to see if I can fix it real quick myself. But then real quick turns into 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. And I'm in this loop. And I'm like, okay, yeah, enough. I'm done with this.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of customers that pretty much tend to troubleshoot their computers on their own, and usually that causes a lot more trouble. Ended up, the problem was something very small and ended up being.
They might have messed it up worse.
They messed it up a lot more. So, we tell a lot of people, listen, just give us a call. We'll troubleshoot it for you. We'll remote into your computer. We'll give you a free estimate pretty much on what we can do for you, and then we'll take it from there. So.
Now, what would you say makes yourself and PC Land different than some other computer shops that are out and around?
Well,
small and large. So let's talk about, the geek guys you see in some of the big box stores and even some of the smaller PC shops.
Well, absolutely. Well, first of all, we are local, and we can travel pretty much in the Tampa Bay area. And one of the things that we do, we go the extra mile for our clients. We not only do the work and call it a day. We pretty much do a follow-up. Usually, within a couple of days, we do a follow-up with a phone call and also with an email. And then you also get the 30 days warranty with us. So there is a lot more stuff that goes on than just to repair a computer or just taking care of your system at your office.
So how do you know that it's time to actually have you guys build a new machine? And I'll tell you my experience why I would prefer to have a machine built by someone like you.
Correct.
And why I would not buy one from any of the big box stores that you can just order online and they ship it to your house, right?
Correct.
Or they say we'll build it for you.
Exactly. Well, with building a computer, actually, you get a lot more. Because now we can customize it to your needs, not to the company's needs. I mean, or the big box's needs. Now,
well, the ones that you get out of the package, they come with stuff on it that you might not necessarily want on your machine. I know I don't.
Absolutely. That's also why we customize computer. We have done computers for you, and in the past we have custom built them, and so we pretty much. If a client walks into the store, to the offices, and they go like, listen, I just need a computer, we pretty much talk to them and we go like, okay, so what is your need? What are you going to do with the computer? then from that point,
Yeah, like what you're starting with. What's your business?
Exactly.
Tell me what you do every
What
day.
you
If
do
I were
every
to
day.
sit behind you for a week, what would I see you doing?
Exactly. And so once we custom build them, I mean, we'll give you the support, and that's a plus. I mean, you get the full year support. It's not like, okay, now I'm going to build it and 30 days warranty and that's it. Now you are on your own. In our cases, now we follow up. We do, you'll get the full year warranty as on any other computer.
And in my experience, too, the custom built machines, like the ones that I've had built with your shop, and even prior to the time I met you, they last longer and they can be upgraded a lot more easily. I don't
Absolutely.
know what the mechanics are behind that, but I just know from a user experience, that's what I've noticed.
Absolutely. You can always, again, going back to being a customized computer, we always looked up on the fact that is the motherboard can be upgradable? Can we install more RAM? Can we install more hard drive space on that? So yeah, there's definitely more room to grow.
So how does the average person listening distinguish the difference? Like, can you give them some signs or some things they might see or experience using their PC? And by the way, you guys don't work on just PCs. You do Macs too.
Yes, we also
Like
do
you,
Mac.
you did an upgrade to my Mac Mini that I bought because I'm not a big Mac
Correct.
fan, but I did have a Mac Mini for my
Yes.
video editing, and you jacked that up and not jacked it up, but souped it up, I should say,
Yeah.
and put a whole bunch of memory and stuff
Yeah.
in there. But it's just interesting because I don't think every computer shop does both, which that makes you unique.
Correct. So we not only do computers, PCs, or laptops. We also support Macs. We also support servers. We are a full IT company, so we can support any offices, any type of commercial account or personal account. So
Big companies that have to run full room file servers and that kind of stuff.
Correct. We can support that. Yeah.
And there's a lot of businesses that are probably in between where maybe they can't afford to have a full-time IT person on their payroll, but they do need some support with the servers.
Correct. So what we do, we have created different type of services for companies that really don't see the need to have a full-time employee or an IT guy in the offices. So what we do, we have created a plan for those companies, and what we do is, we pretty much remote in, we troubleshoot the problems, and then so there's the different options to that.
So, and I love the monthly service thing. Like with kids and teenagers, you never know what they're going to put on a machine, and you could
Correct.
literally have that thing in the shop every month.
Correct. So in with that said, we have commercial accounts, and we also have personal accounts where clients, if they get a new computer from Best Buy or whoever, what we can do instead of them trying to troubleshoot a problem with their tech support, what we can do is we take over and we troubleshoot the problems for them.
So how do you know when your computer is just infected and when it's time to actually bite the bullet and probably get a new one and send that old computer over to Daniel so he can recycle it and break it down and give you that hard drive destruction certificate?
Well, it's sometimes I tend to tell a lot of people that it's not the computer the problem. The problem is with the software on the computer. The operating system becomes infected, and so that's the majority of the problem. Infections and sometimes, of course, it's the hard drive the problem. But I tend to tell the customers not to go out and just buy a computer because those computers that are infected, they can be easily fixed.
Right. And so tell me some of the things that you would see. Like if you see the blue screen of death, does that mean you're pretty much done and you need a new PC?
No, not necessarily. Again, that could be caused because a bad hard drive, bad sector on the hard drive. It could be causing because an infection, spyware or viruses. So, or it could be the RAM that causes the blue screen of death.
So how do you know when, the typical signs of a virus are the computer slows down, right?
Well, usually, yeah. When you have noticed that your computer it's running slow and it takes forever to come on, usually there is a sign that it's either some type of infection. It could be a virus or it could be spyware that that has infected the operating system. So, and that can be fixed, definitely that.
And what other things do you see? Like it would be maybe running fine and then it would just kind of slow down pretty quickly, right?
Well, yeah. Well, now what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of the spyware that it's being infected, and those hijacking software that comes pre-installed whenever you install, an update or sometimes of a Java or even Flash. So you got to be careful when you install the program, especially from the internet. Because that's how you're gonna get infected.
So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Java and Flash and what that means if you don't already know, what you need it for, why you might not need it, and how to tell if it's working normally. This is Katrina Madewell. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. We'll be back in just a minute.
You can take it, there's a way you can escape it. Chose this long ago. When you were complacent, now you can't stand to.
Are you suffering from IRS problems? Do you owe back taxes you can't pay? Is your paycheck or bank account being levied? Or maybe you haven't filed tax returns in years and simply don't know what to do. This is Darren T. Mish to tell you that if you're tired of IRS problems hanging over your head and are ready for a fresh start, we may be able to help. Call the law offices of Darren T. Mish at 888-GET-MISH, 888-GET-MISH. I can help you file old tax returns, work to release tax liens or stop wage levies, even negotiate deals to pay off back taxes at a discount, sometimes for pennies on the dollar. Hey, let's face it, these days it's not hard to get into tax trouble. A divorce, failed business, health problems, you name it. The point is, IRS problems may be solved if you're willing to take the first step. Call for a free consultation at 888-GET-MISH. That's 888-438-6474. Or go to the web at getirshelp.com, because the one sure thing is, IRS problems don't solve themselves. So get MISH. 888-438-6474. Principal Office, Tampa.
Hi, this is Aaron Davis, owner of Hillsborough Title. Hillsborough Title is a local family-owned title agency here in Tampa Bay. Our service, strength, and knowledge make us different. We've served Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. From Polk County to the Gulf, Pasco to Manatee, Tampa Bay, we've got you covered. Call us at 813-712-8888 or visit us on the web at thebesttitle.com. That's thebesttitle.com.
Curious what your Tampa home is worth? Here's an easy way to find out what homes like yours are selling for in today's market. Text the word value to 813-377-2775 for a free report on Tampa house prices. We'll send you a free report with up-to-the-minute statistics based on all homes for sale sold in your neighborhood over the last 6 months in all price ranges. To get your free report on Tampa Bay house prices, just call or text the word value to 813-377-2775.
You're buying a house. Congratulations. So while you're worrying about the paperwork, leave the moving part to us. We're Woody & Sons Moving Company, a Florida licensed and insured mover, and we offer same-day written estimates. Plus, no sneaky mileage, stairs, or additional stop fees. All we ask is that you check out our great ratings on Google and Angie's List, then go to woodyandsons.com to learn more. Whether you need a full-service pack and move or some extra hands, at Woody & Sons Moving Company, we move you.
Well, welcome back, and you're listening to Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, and in studio today we have Cesar Rabi with PC Land and also Daniel Tarvin with Recycling Rescue. And we've had a great show today talking all about what to do with some of those electronics when you break down not just computers, but many other things that you might have sitting in your garage, as well as how to tell if it's time to get a new PC or if it can be easily just upgraded, changed, or tweaked a little bit. If you missed any part of the show, it is available in its entirety via podcast. Just hop on over to tampahometalk.com under radio, and you'll see all of our podcasts there. And of course, they're always available on any podcast player. So we were chatting a little bit during the break and talking about, why. We'll talk about Flash, first of all. Like, it's break it down in simplistic terms so the person listening is like, oh, yeah, I get that.
Well, Flash was created by Micromedia, and it was created just to create vector graphics. It's a platform that it's pretty much, I think Chrome is trying to, actually it's not being supported by Chrome anymore. So it's a way to have a computer infected. In other words, it's nowadays people are hackers. They're building software malicious software to get through a Flash application, and that's how most of the computers will
Because
tend
they
to
think,
get.
well, people trust Flash, so they're going to install it or update it or whatever.
Exactly. So nowadays, companies are trying to stay away from Flash. So eventually, Flash will be obsolete at one point.
I know even our software, like where we write contracts, they're still doing some stuff on Flash. And I'm like, I thought you guys were one of mobile browsers. What happened here? So talk about why a computer starts acting funky or doesn't work the minute you upgrade either your operating system or a piece of software.
Well, it could be many reasons. Again, if you have done any type of upgrade or update, if you're updating the operating system, in this case, Windows 10, which is what a lot of people are trying to do. They're getting the window that says it's time for you to update to Windows 10. So
Yes, I've seen that too.
exactly. So just be careful for now. I mean, I tell a lot of people that you gotta do your homework before you can do the update to Windows 10.
What are some of the hiccups and bugs you're seeing with that system?
Drivers? Compatibility with a lot of drivers.
So meaning your printer might not work after you install
Your
it.
printer, your video drivers, your wireless may not work. So there's definitely compatibility that.
So talk about why that happens so easily on a PC and maybe not so much on a Mac.
Well, it happens on a Mac too. I mean, although Macs are a lot more stable operating system, and that's why a lot of people are going with Mac nowadays. But even with Macs, they still have some hiccups. I mean, whenever
Well, like Mac, I knew when I was trying to use it, it didn't play nice in the sandbox with Adobe. So for me, it's essential that I can open an Adobe piece of paper, or whatever.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's definitely a Mac. It's a better product per se. Windows is great too, but a lot of people, definitely have problems with Mac. So.
And Daniel, you were talking during the break too, saying a lot of people don't. They go with the Macs because they don't get viruses.
Well, at the computer store that I used to work at, we used Mac as our point of sale system and for our inventory management. And we did that for security reasons, primarily just because we were fixing computers, all day with viruses on them. And some viruses can travel through your network and infect other computers on the network, even if you have it isolated through what's called a VLAN. They can still get their way through. So we decided to use Apple products, and we didn't have ever any issues with them, although some people do experience issues when they upgrade the operating system version. So like if you had 10.8 on your computer, which is Mountain Lion, and you upgrade to the newest one, which is 10.10, every once in a while you'll see some applications that just don't work with the new version.
Correct.
So that is one of the issues that I have seen with Apple products. But other than that, security-wise, every once in a while you hear about something coming up on them, but it's not an everyday, all-day thing like the PCs. Like,
Correct. Absolutely.
What are some of the visible signs you see on a Mac? Are those noticeable things different as a Mac user to know that you might have a virus or something on
Usually it's just the performance of it. Usually it's just the performance or even Safari not working right, or even trying to open up some programs, not displaying properly, or pretty much opening and closing, So those are the signs that usually a Mac could be infected. And I have seen it. So I've seen it where, we have special software on the Mac that we run, and we have fortunately found some issues. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen.
Now, how
Adobe Flash.
The
Remember
Flash?
Flashback? Remember that thing? They had to release the upgrade for the Adobe Flashback removal tool.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about how Flash is so vulnerable. That was one of the main biggest things that affected Mac was they got infected through a faulty. It was basically like a fake Adobe Flash update.
Correct.
Which is why they probably don't work. I mean, they really don't work on a Mac.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Because I tried to use it, and again, the software we use for our contracts has Flash, and it's like, ugh, I can't even work on this thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Flash definitely does not work on a Mac. So, I mean, it's something that it's not supported. And eventually, I guess, on the Windows platform, they're going to stop supporting that.
It was interesting to see some of the changes, too, because for the longest time, our MLS system didn't even operate on anything other than Internet Explorer.
Correct.
So now
Yes.
at least it operates on Chrome and Safari and some other things. As a matter of fact, I was one of the people that beta tested the MLS on the Mac because it was so weird to navigate at first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the reason why a lot of people were doing on the Macs those parallel software where you had your Mac and your Windows within one.
Well, it was a totally different system. And it actually had a lot of components that were a lot better about it. Like a lot of things that it did that the other one on Internet Explorer did not.
Yeah.
And they end up pretty much migrating to that software platform they built. It was a whole different platform.
I know. Yeah, with the realtors, yeah. It was a nightmare for you guys.
Oh, yeah, it was. Well, I had a lot of the bugs worked out early, I think, so it was okay.
Yeah.
So you brought a whole bunch of goodies with you. I'm not missing anything, am I? What did I say?
No, actually, pretty much one of the things that I get asked a lot is, what about my battery? Should I leave my computer plugged in all the time? And I pretty much tell people, well, yes, you can, but the minute that fills up to 100%, you should pretty much unplug it and just work it out of the battery. So is it going to last more? It really doesn't matter. But then if you have it plugged in, it defeats the purpose of being a portable one thing. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, just plug it in, let it fill 100%, and then you should be fine on the battery. So so that's one of the things that I pretty much get asked all the time, and the questions that you asked before, where what's the signs of a computer when it's infected. So again, if it's running really slow, you can't open up any type of web browser, or it takes forever.
I might not do anything at all.
So those are pretty much the signs where that the computer it's not working right.
Now, Daniel, you've also done a lot of things too with nonprofits and like community events. We didn't have a chance to touch on that yet.
Yes. Well, one of the ways that we've done community outreach is by working with some local nonprofits and doing fundraisers for them through recycling electronics. So, for example, we had an event in Treasure Island for the American Cancer Society and the Relay for Life, and we distributed flyers throughout the community to invite people out, basically to the event, and also to recycle their electronics. We had a truck set up, and 70% of the scrap value that we got from that went back to the Relay for Life.
Which is awesome. So it's like two birds with one stone. You get rid of the stuff collecting dust, and you actually donate for a good cause.
Yeah, and there's also another nonprofit that we do a lot with called the Police Athletic League down in St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
They collect electronics, and we basically buy it from them at a scrap value, and then that's it's a fundraiser for them. So.
And what are the I know it's interesting just to hear some of the things that you've done, and I know Greg, your partner over at Urban E-Recycling, was talking about that as well. I can't stress how important it is to not see the stuff in a landfill. I mean, I don't know what the impact of computers and that kind of stuff is, but it's always better to recycle it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of recycling organizations out there. Like I live in Largo, and there's a company called Largo Recycles. They handle all the paper, the plastic, stuff like that.
And you guys are different.
Yeah, we do electronics, but in terms of just keeping stuff out of landfill, there's a lot of companies out there that's their whole goal, and that's one of our main goals as well. So, and in terms of doing community outreach as well, to get back on that topic, we're also an official fundraiser for the Pinellas County school system. So if any Pinellas County schools want to have a fundraiser in their school, instead of the kids selling candy bars or popcorn or whatever, they can bring in their old cell phones and their old laptops and stuff, and they can get value to the school through that way.
And I know sometimes, like I did a lot of stuff for PTA, you get inundated with stuff, and then you get complaints with parents about the number of fundraising, but there just isn't enough in the school budgets to make it all happen. So of course, organizations like PTA do fundraise. So what a great fundraising idea. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. I know we're already at the top of the hour. It's been fun, hasn't it, guys?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me. If you missed any part of today's show, it is available on a podcast. Just hop on over to our website, tampahometalk.com, or just search for it in your podcast player, and it'll be right there. We have an exciting show lined up for you this weekend. We have Mayor Rick Help me out, Chris. Kreisman?
There you go, Kreisman.
Finally got it right. He'll be joining us for the weekend show talking all about revitalization projects in the St. Pete area and more. Super exciting show lined up for you then. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me this week.
Thank you for having me on.
We're out.
WTAN, Clearwater, Tampa Bay. WDCF, Dade City, Tampa Bay. WZHR, Zephyr Hills, Tampa Bay. Listen.
A possible break in a cop killing. A Kentucky clerk goes to jail. I'm Ann.